Hello, everyone, and welcome back to, SAT Math Tutoring with Rin. So, today is still the first practice test, Math Module 1, but this is part 3, so questions 12 to 15. Just a short video going over a few questions like we always do. And, if you want to get a perfect score on the SAT Math like I did, continue watching. So let's go to the first question. Well, question 12. The graph of y equals f of x is shown where the function f is defined by f of x equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, and a, b, c, and d are constants. For how many values of x does f of x equal 0? Okay, so this is a straightforward question. Nothing really much we have to worry about. The question is, what is f of x equals 0? F of x equals 0 is just the same thing as y equals 0. F of x is the same thing as y. So we have to find out where this y equals 0 is on the graph. Y equals 0. So if you look at the graph, you have the x-axis and the y-axis. 0 is right here on the y-axis. So that means that the line for y equals 0 is this, just a horizontal line where y equals 0. That's the first step, to graph y equals 0. The second step is to determine the values, the numbers of x that are on the line. So what I mean by that is the question is asking for how many values of x does f of x equals 0. So that will be at every point the original line intercepts with y equals 0. So the original function f intersects with y equals 0 at here, here, and here. So you notice that the original function intercepts with y equals 0 at 3 points. So your answer is C, 3. It's just the number of points where the original function intercepts with the y equals 0. And that's it. That's just this. That's all you have to do. Count the number of points where they intercept. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. The next question is, Vivian bought party hats and cupcakes for $71 in total. Each package of party hats costs $3 and each cupcake costs $1. If Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats, how many cupcakes did she buy? Okay, this is just figuring out the equation for the situation and solving for the variable. And in this case, the variable will be the number of cupcakes Vivian bought. So we know that the total amount is 71, so we can put that at the end. We also know that Vivian bought 10 packages of party hats, and each package costs $3. So you have 10 packages of party hats times the cost of each one of them, which is $3. You then have to look at the cupcakes. Each cupcake cost $1, so we can put that in parentheses. And this will be multiplied by the number of cupcakes that Vivian bought. But we don't know that, so we can just put X. So the equation for this situation is X times 1, which is just X, plus 10 times 3 equals 71. We have to determine what X is. X being the number of cupcakes Vivian bought. So you have X plus 10 times 3, which is 30, equals 71. Then you want to isolate the X by subtracting 30 on both sides. So you get 71 minus 30. In other words, your answer is 41. Your answer is 41. Number of cupcakes Vivian bought is 41. Very well. Now let's go on to the next question. Question number 14. Now, this question is asking us to factor this equation and then solve for the solution, find the solution. So we first factor, then find the solution. So the equation is z squared plus 10z minus 24. This is a trinomial in which you have, well, three separate terms where it follows this equation, right? ax squared plus bx plus c. To factor this type of trinomial where a equals 1, in other words, z is 1 because it has no coefficient, you have to find two numbers that when multiplied gives you c. So two numbers when multiplied give you negative 24, and when added gives you b, which is plus 10 or positive 10. So we have to find two numbers when multiplied give you negative 24, and when added give you positive 10. So we have to think of some multiples of negative 24. So you have negative 12 and 2, for example, right? Negative 12 and 2 give you negative 24, which is what we're looking for. But the problem is negative 12 and 2, when added together, gives you negative 10. We need positive 10. So what we can do is actually just switch the signs of the two numbers. So 12 and 2. Well, 12 and negative 2. It still gives you negative 24, but when added, gives you positive 10. So both criteria are met. When multiplied, you get C, and when added, you get B. So we know that our two numbers, when we want to factor, is 12 and negative 2. So we can then put that into two binomials. So you have x plus 12. That's a weird 12, but ignore that. And x minus 2. That's how you do it. To factor a trinomial, we separate it into two binomials. In other words, two of these. So x plus one of the numbers and x minus x plus the other number. So you have 12 and negative 2, you just plug it in. Then you solve. You will make each, in order to do that, you will make each of them equal to 0. So x plus 12 equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0. Then you solve. So x plus 12 equals 0. You have to solve for x. So x is negative 12. And then for this one, x minus 2 equals 0. That means x is 2. This is your answer for this question. Negative 12 and 2. But the question is asking you to only find one of the solutions. So you can just pick one of these two and you'll get the question correct. It doesn't matter which one of these you pick, it just has to be one of these two. Negative 12 or positive 2. And this is your answer. Okay, now let's go to the last question for this video. This one is a quite wordy one, but no problem. Bacteria are growing in a liquid growth medium. there were 300,000 cells per millimeter during an initial observation. The number of cells per milliliter doubles every 3 hours. How many cells per milliliter will there be in 15 hours after the initial observation? So in order to solve this question, we have to follow this formula. This is the exponential formula, where A is the original value, 300,000, B is the rate at which it grows. So it's doubling. In other words, it's being multiplied by 2. And then X is how often it's doubling the period. So in this case, you have 15 hours. It's going to be doubling for 15 hours, but only for every 3 hours. I'll explain that later. But first, let's write down the original value. 300,000, right? Times 2. Now, X is the number of times the original value would be doubled. How many times would it be doubled in the 15 hours? Now, since it'll be doubling every 3 hours and for a total of 15 hours, that means that the number of times that it'll be actually be doubling is 5, right? 15 divided by 3 is 5. There are 5 sets of 3 hours and 15 hours total, right? 3 times 5 equals 15. So that means that your X in this equation will be 5. So it'll be 300,000 times 2 to the 5th power. Now, this is not something you'll probably do in your head, so you'll use a calculator. And if you plug it into your calculator, you would get, if I'm not mistaken, it's 9.6 million. So your answer is D. You just have to read the question and plug it into the formula and make sure that X is the correct number. Even though it says every 3 hours and 15 hours, X is the number of times it actually doubles. So 5 times. And well, that'll be it for today. And I hope this video was helpful and well, stay tuned.